The morning air was heavy with the smell of wet dust. Lagos felt half awake, wrapped in grey clouds and the echoes of last night's rain. Buses hissed, hawkers shouted, puddles shimmered with restless traffic. Through it all walked Meera Okafor, her old canvas shoes flapping with each step, soles nearly gone. She carried a paper-wrapped meal of puff-puff and a bottle of water, her cleaner's uniform neatly pressed despite its fading blue. She had 10 minutes to reach Crystal Crown residences where glass floors and gold doors pretended struggle didn't exist. Halfway across the bridge, she heard it, a sleek roar cutting through the drizzle. A white Range Rover moving too fast for a morning that still belonged to sleep. Meera stepped aside, clutching her meal, but the car plowed through a deep puddle. The splash rose like a wave and slammed into her chest. Cold, dirty water soaked her hair, her food, her dignity. The SUV slowed. A tinted window rolled down. Behind it, a woman with perfect curls and red lipstick laughed, a laugh sharp enough to slice. "Watch the road next time," Vanessa Kane said, her diamond earrings catching the pale light. The window slid up. The car sped away. Meera froze. The city didn't stop for humiliation. Two cyclists passed. One muttered, "Sorry," without slowing. She took a shaky breath, blinked back the sting in her eyes, and whispered, "You'll not steal my morning." She squeezed the ruined meal into the gutter and walked on. Across the street, under a half-open umbrella, a man watched everything. Tariq Bello, quiet billionaire, founder of Helix Investments and the type of man Lagos only knew by rumor. His driver looked puzzled. "Sir, shall we go?" Tariq's gaze stayed on the girl in the soaked uniform. "No. Note the plate number and find out who she is." Inside Crystal Crown, fluorescent lights buzzed like insects. Meera slipped through the service door and clocked in late. Her supervisor, Mr. Ebo, spotted her immediately. "You again?" he barked. "You think this place runs on pity?" "Sir, it wasn't my—" "Enough. You'll clean the penthouse corridor today and fix yourself before guests see that face." "Yes, sir," she murmured, biting the inside of her cheek. In the locker room mirror, Meera saw mud still clinging to her hairline. She rinsed it off with cold water from a leaking tap. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind. "Grace isn't about the dress you wear, my child. It's how you stand when the world splashes you." So she stood. By noon, she was scrubbing marble floors on the 30th floor, the city spinning in reflections under her mop, sweat mixed with the faint scent of lemon polish. She kept humming, softly, stubbornly. During her short lunch break, she sat behind the generator house, unwrapping the remains of her breakfast. Suddenly, a paper bag landed beside her feet. She flinched, looked around. No one there. Inside were a warm meat pie, a clean hand towel, and a folded note. "For the woman who keeps the world shining when it forgets to notice." Her fingers trembled. No name. No clue, just kindness. For the first time that day, her lips curved into a smile. Across town, Tariq sat in his office, surrounded by glass and silence. On his screen played traffic footage, the splash, the laughter, the way she didn't crumble. He pressed pause. "Her name's Meera Okafor," his assistant said. "Age 23, lives in O'Reilly. 2 jobs, single caregiver to her mother and little brother." Tariq nodded. "Keep this between us, and send something small, a gesture." "What kind?" He stared at the paused image of Meera walking away through the rain. Something that says she was seen. That evening, Vanessa posed for cameras outside a charity gala. The lights adored her. The crowd did too. Her phone buzzed in her clutch. She ignored it until she was back in her car. The message came from an unknown number. "You left a mark this morning. Some stains don't wash off." Attached was a still image of her SUV splashing a cleaner in blue. The timestamp glowed beneath it. Vanessa's hand tightened around the phone. "Who sent this?" she whispered. Back in O'Reilly, Meera reached home under a flickering streetlight. Her mother slept inside. Her little brother's shoes sat neatly by the door. Meera looked at the note again and slipped it under her pillow before lying down. For the first time in months, she fell asleep smiling, unaware that a dark sedan had been parked across the street far too long, headlights dim but watching. Rain came again before dawn, thin and spiteful. Meera Okafor sat by her mother's bed, listening to the slow hum of the oxygen machine. She had barely slept after last night's strange text and the dark car that lingered near her street. The city was loud, even when silent, generators coughing, wind pushing plastic bags across puddles. She dressed quietly and left O'Reilly before sunrise, clutching her worn handbag and the mysterious note that still smelled faintly of new paper. When she reached Crystal Crown Residences, the guards were gossiping about the viral clip of a celebrity SUV splashing a cleaner. They didn't know that cleaner was standing among them. "Did you see her face?" one said. "Who?" "The maid." "Poor thing." But the video's trending now. Karma's real. Meera's pulse stuttered. Someone filmed it? Her name wasn't mentioned yet, but the internet had a way of finding faces. She went inside, pretending calm she didn't feel. In the lobby, Mr. Ebo was already waiting, phone in hand, expression pinched. "You caused drama for this building," he hissed. "I just went to work." "You went viral. Clients are nervous. Fix it before management asks questions." He stormed off. Meera swallowed the lump in her throat and headed upstairs. The mop handle felt heavier than yesterday, but so did her determination. Meanwhile, on the 30th floor, Tariq Bello watched the same clip muted on his phone. Vanessa's SUV, the splash, the freeze frame that now filled gossip pages. He'd planned to intervene quietly, but social media had exploded faster than decency could catch up. His assistant entered. "Sir, should we release a statement?" "No," Tariq said. "Not yet. Let's see who profits from the noise." He turned the screen off and walked toward the elevator. Downstairs, Meera was wringing her mop when the doors opened and he stepped out, dressed simply, no security detail, eyes calm but watchful. "You clean this floor?" he asked. "Yes, sir." "Then you're the one people owe an apology to." She blinked, confused. "You know about that video." "Everyone does," he said softly. "But truth hides better than lies. Tell me, do you want this attention erased or used?" "I just want peace," she said, voice small. He studied her, weighing the honesty in it. "Peace," he murmured, "comes with power. I can help you if you let me." Before she could reply, Mr. Ebo rushed over, eyes widening at Tariq's presence. "Good morning, sir. We didn't know you were visiting." Tariq gave a faint smile. "Sometimes I like seeing who keeps the place alive." His tone was light, but subtext rippled through the air. "I know how you treat your staff." After he left, whispers followed Meera like smoke. Some called her lucky, others cursed under their breath. In the break room, Ada, the friendliest cleaner, nudged her. Girl, that man's eyes weren't regular eyes. You've stepped into a movie. I don't want a movie, Meera said. Just my job. But fate had already shifted scenes. Across town, Vanessa Kane scrolled through comments that called her heartless. Brands pulled endorsements. Her PR team begged her to apologize publicly. Instead, she slammed her phone down. Find that cleaner, she snapped at her assistant. We'll pay her to speak, say it was a misunderstanding. I control the story. That evening, as the city lights bled into the lagoon, Meera received a call from an unknown number. Miss Okafor? The voice was smooth, female. I represent the Kane Foundation. We'd like to invite you for a talk. Compensation included. Meera hesitated. Why me? Because you deserve recognition. We can make this right. Recognition. The word tasted both sweet and dangerous. She said she'd think about it, but her heart already whispered no. She hung up, unaware that someone else was listening. Tariq threw a silent trace on her line, ensuring no harm reached her. Yet as he listened, another notification appeared on his tablet. Unknown account accessed your private footage folder. He frowned. Someone had hacked him. Someone who also knew about Meera. Outside Meera's window, a car engine started, then cut off again. A shadow lingered by the gate, watching. The rain began to fall once more. The sun rose sharp and bright over Port Harbor, slicing through last night's rain. Streets steamed, horns screamed, and gossip had already grown wings. By morning, Meera's name was everywhere. Someone had leaked her photo beside Vanessa Kane's clip. The cleaner and the queen. Comment sections overflowed, pity, outrage, and venom in equal measure. At Crystal Crown, the lobby screens played the news. Meera arrived to find her co-workers watching. That's her, Funker whispered. Fame suits her, another muttered. Mr. Ebo turned down the volume, face tight. You're suspended until further notice. Meera's breath caught. Sir, why? I didn't. Management wants peace. Too much attention. Take your drama outside. He handed her an envelope, thin, final. She walked out into a sunlight that felt crueler than rain. Across the street, in a cafe filled with the hum of air conditioners and entitlement, Tariq Bello scrolled through the same headline. His jaw set hard. He had stayed quiet to protect her anonymity, but now the wolves had tasted blood. Get me PR, he said into his phone. And legal. Quietly. Hours later, Meera sat on a bus, heading home, the envelope unopened on her lap. The chatter of passengers faded into the background as she stared out the window. Every billboard seemed to laugh. The conductor's voice dragged her back. Auntie, your change. She smiled weakly. Keep it. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You think pity will feed you? You'll learn who owns this city. Her stomach tightened. She looked around. No one met her eye. When she got home, her younger brother Toki was rehearsing his school debate in front of their mother's framed photo. My topic, dignity in labor, he announced proudly. Meera knelt beside him, forcing a smile. Perfect choice. He frowned. Why are people online saying bad things about you? She froze. The boy's innocence cut deeper than insult. Because some people fear what they don't understand, she said. But truth lasts longer than gossip. Later that night, the power went out. The world shrank to candlelight. Meera opened the envelope at last. Inside her final pay, smaller than expected, and a note from management thanking her for understanding our position. She laughed softly. It sounded like breaking glass. A knock startled her. When she opened the door, Tariq stood there in a plain hoodie, rain on his shoulders, eyes unreadable. "I shouldn't be here," he said, "but neither should what's happening to you. You saw the news? I saw the lies. You're not alone." His presence filled the small room, steady, dangerous, almost kind. Meera folded her arms. "Why help me, Mr. Bello?" He hesitated. "Because my mother was once you, and because power that does nothing is rot." Subtext rippled through the silence. She wanted to trust him. She was terrified too. "What now?" she asked. "I'll clear your name," he said, "but you must be ready for what truth costs." Before she could respond, a loud crash echoed outside, the sound of a car door slamming. Tariq peered through the window. A black SUV idled under the streetlight. "Vanessa's men," he muttered. "She wants control of the story." Meera's voice shook. "They followed me home?" He turned to her. "Pack a bag." "What?" "You're coming with me. Tonight." She hesitated, heart racing, torn between safety and suspicion. "If I go, what will people say?" "Let them talk," he said. "You've given them silence long enough." Thunder rolled somewhere far off, as if the sky had opinions too. Meera looked at her sleeping brother, then at Tariq's steady hand reaching toward her. Her pulse hammered as she locked eyes with him. "Fine," she whispered. "But if this ruins me, it'll remake you," he said. They stepped into the wet night together. The SUV's headlights flared, then flicked off, disappearing into darkness. Somewhere behind them, a phone camera clicked once, and the story everyone thought they knew quietly changed direction. Morning broke over Port Harbor with restless gold light. From the balcony of his glass office, Tariq Bello watched the city stir. Vendors opening umbrellas, cars moving like restless silver fish. Every screen in the Helix Investments lobby displayed the same thing: Vanessa Kane's tearful apology video. "I'm sorry for what happened," she said, dabbing her eyes. "It was never my intention to harm anyone. I want to meet Miss Okafor personally to make amends." Her voice dripped with crafted remorse. The comments were split. Half forgiveness, half fury. Tariq muted the screen. "Calculated," he muttered. His assistant Eve nodded. Her team offered 10 million naira for Meera to appear beside her on a live talk show. "They're calling it healing through empathy." He scoffed. Healing through manipulation. Meanwhile, Meera sat in a guest room at Tariq's quiet island house, a home that smelled of salt, cedar, and expensive silence. She hadn't slept. The marble floors felt too cold, the air too calm. Her brother Tochi was safe, with a neighbor. That was the only comfort she had left. When she emerged, Tariq was already at the dining table, laptop open, untouched breakfast beside him. "You didn't rest," he said. "I'm not used to safety," she replied. His lips twitched. "Then we'll change that." He slid a document toward her. "This is a statement, not a defense truth. We'll release it before her PR circus airs." She scanned the words. Dignity, accountability, resilience. "You wrote this?" "Based on what you told me. I told you my story over one dinner," she said softly. "You remembered everything?" "I remember what matters." Their eyes met for a moment too long. Silence hummed, with something neither named. A notification pinged on his laptop. Unknown email, attachment. For Meera. He opened it. The screen filled with still frames. Meera leaving his car last night, him entering her flat, the black SUV outside. Beneath it, your savior isn't saving you, he's using you. Meera saw it and stepped back. What is that? Someone's trying to drive a wedge between us, he said. And if it's true? He met her gaze, steady. Then I'd be the biggest fool alive. She wanted to believe him, but suspicion had already found a chair in her mind. At the same hour, Vanessa sat in her penthouse, surrounded by ring lights. Her manager, Chica, scrolled through data. Apology engagement up 120%. Brand sponsors reconsidering. Vanessa smiled. See? Guilt sells. But when she opened her inbox, a single subject line froze her. You left out the second half of the video. She clicked. The unseen footage played, her laughing before the splash, bragging to a friend. The file name, truth.mp4. Attached was a short note. The internet loves sequels. Her fingers trembled. Who has this? Chica looked pale. If that leaks, you're finished. For the first time, Vanessa felt something like fear. By afternoon, Meera's statement went public. Simple, graceful, unblaming. We all make choices. I choose peace. May we remember humility before wealth blinds us. The internet turned again. Sympathy blooming like wildfire. Hashtags flipped sides. Vanessa's apology now looked hollow beside Meera's calm grace. But power rarely surrenders quietly. That evening, a black sedan pulled up outside the island house. Tariq's phone buzzed. Private number. You chose wrong. Step back or she burns. He frowned. Security, shut the perimeter. Lights flickered. The cameras went offline one by one. Meera stood by the window, watching the lagoon shimmer with storm clouds. What's happening? Someone's cutting the power, Tariq said, reaching for his phone. Stay behind me. Before he could dial, a rock shattered the front window. Paper scattered across the floor, his notes, her statement drafts, their plans. The rock had a note tied to it. Truth is expensive. Pay up or we'll collect in blood. Meera's breath caught. They know where I am. He met her eyes. Then we don't hide anymore. Lightning flashed across the lagoon, painting both their faces in white fire, two strangers bound by the same storm. Are you scared? He asked. Yes, she whispered, but not of them. Outside, thunder rolled again, long, deep, like the city exhaling before the next blow. Somewhere beyond the storm, a camera clicked. Someone was still watching. The storm rolled in before sunrise, drumming against the windows of Tariq Bello's island house. The generator hummed. Every sound felt amplified in the tense quiet. Meera sat on the edge of the couch, her hands trembling around a cup of untouched tea. You think they'll come back? She asked. Tariq looked up from his phone. They won't need to. They already got what they wanted, fear. I'm not afraid, she lied. He gave a small, knowing smile. Then you're stronger than most billionaires I know. She glanced toward the shattered window, patched with tape. You shouldn't have brought me here. I've ruined your peace. Peace is overrated, he said. Truth isn't. By noon, the internet had found its next obsession, a blurry clip of Meera and Tariq together, leaving her apartment the night before. The caption read, Billionaire's Hidden Mistress. Inside, the scandal that broke Lagos. Vanessa Kane's PR team had struck again. Tariq's assistant, Ife, burst into the study. Sir, the board is calling emergency session. They want you to deny everything, publicly. Deny what? Tariq said. Helping someone. Helping a cleaner who's now trending with your name beside hers. He closed his laptop, calm but sharp. Let them trend. We'll answer with facts. Meera watched the chaos unfold on her borrowed phone. Every headline twisted kindness into sin. Commenters dissected her smile, her posture, her worth. She turned off the screen, exhaling shakily. They've made me into a villain. Tariq looked at her. No, they've made you visible. That's more dangerous. I didn't ask to be visible. No one ever does. Subtext lingered between them, his guilt for protecting her too late, her fear of being indebted to another powerful man. Then came the call that changed everything. The voice on the line was male, low, deliberate. Miss Okafor, we know where your brother is. You want him safe? Meet us at Victoria Wharf, 7 p.m. Come alone. Meera froze. Who is this? Click. Deadline. Her heartbeat stuttered. They have Tochi. Tariq's eyes darkened. Give me the phone. He traced the number, masked. Untraceable. They're bluffing. But Meera was already moving. I can't risk it. He stepped in front of her. If you go alone, you'll hand them what they want. She met his gaze, trembling but fierce. If it were your mother, would you wait? He couldn't answer. At sunset, Victoria Wharf glowed in the dying light, rusted cranes, broken boats, shadows, long and hungry. Meera arrived alone, hood up, raincoat zipped. Every instinct screamed danger. Over here, a voice called. She turned. A figure stepped out, Pascal, her estranged uncle, a man she hadn't seen since her mother's funeral. Uncle? He smiled, bitter and tight. You forgot who fed you. You left when Mama got sick. He shrugged. Now the world loves you. A famous niece, useful thing. Vanessa offered me good money to make you humble. Her stomach turned. You sold me? Don't dramatize. Just a little trade. You clear her name, we call it peace. Before she could reply, headlights flared. Tariq's car sliding to a stop. He stepped out, coat whipping in the wind. Let her go, Pascal, he said. Pascal laughed. Ah, the hero himself. You think your money scares me? Tariq didn't move. Money, no. But truth? That terrifies men like you. For a moment, the rain, the harbor, and the tension all held their breath. Then, a siren wailed in the distance, police approaching. Pascal's smirk cracked. You called them? Tariq's tone was ice. I broadcasted this meeting 30 seconds ago. Every news drone in Port Harbor has your face now. Pascal lunged forward, furious, but Meera stepped between them. You said I forgot who fed me, she said quietly. You forgot who forgave you. Her words hit harder than the sirens. Police lights flooded the dock. Pascal froze, then dropped the phone he'd been holding, a device still recording. Officers surrounded him. As they led him away, he spat. You'll regret this, Meera. The rich man won't always protect you. Tariq stepped beside her, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. He's right, she whispered. You won't always be here. Then you'll learn to fight without me, he said softly. They stood together as the police cars disappeared, red and blue reflections dancing over the black water. Why risk all this? She asked. Because if we let fear decide, Vanessa wins, he replied. A flash of lightning illuminated their faces, two people changed forever by a single morning's cruelty. The storm finally began to fade, but both of them knew the real war was only beginning. The morning after, the wharf felt deceptively calm. The city had gone back to its rhythm. Cars, chatter, noise, but inside Tariq Bellow's office, the tension was a quiet blade. Across the glass table sat Vanessa Kane, dressed in white, eyes hidden behind sunglasses. "I came to make peace," she said. Tariq didn't look up from the folder in front of him. "Peace isn't bought with perfume and press releases." Vanessa smiled thinly. "Then what do you want?" He slid a photo across the table, a still frame of her paying Pascal outside the wharf warehouse. "An apology doesn't fix conspiracy." Her smile faltered. "You think anyone will believe a clip? They'll call it deepfake." "They'll believe bank records," he said. "The ones your assistant leaked to me last night." Vanessa's jaw tightened. "You can't destroy me." He finally met her eyes. "No, Vanessa. You already did that." At the same moment, Meera Okafor stood at her old neighborhood's gate. It was the first time she'd returned since everything began. The children recognized her. "Auntie Meera, you're famous," one shouted. She smiled weakly. Fame had never felt heavier. Inside the tiny apartment, her mother's photo still hung crooked on the wall. Meera whispered, "I made it, Mama, but not the way I thought." Her phone buzzed. "I've texting. Stay away from the office. Vanessa's not done." Before she could reply, a knock echoed through the hallway. She opened the door. Two uniformed officers stood there. "Miss Okafor?" "Yes?" "You're under investigation for digital fraud and defamation." Her heart stumbled. "What?" They handed her a warrant with the Right Estate's logo, Tariq's company. "There must be a mistake," she said. They exchanged looks. "You can clear it at the station." 2 hours later, headlines exploded. "Charity angel or corporate spy? Meera Okafor under investigation." At Helix Tower, Tariq's office door flew open. Ife held the warrant, pale. "They forged your signature on this, sir." Tariq's voice was low, furious. "Who signed it?" "Your deputy, Kunli. He got a call from an anonymous number before approving it." Vanessa's smile replayed in Tariq's mind like poison. "She's trying to make me her witness against Meera." He grabbed his keys. "Get my car. We end this tonight." The station smelled of stale air and cheap coffee. Meera sat in a metal chair, wrists trembling around the edge of the table. A detective leaned forward. "You moved large funds from Helix accounts to a private NGO." "That's a lie." He dropped printed screenshots in front of her. Fake transfers, doctored signatures. The same scheme Vanessa had perfected. She exhaled slowly, remembering Tariq's words. "Truth is expensive." Then the door opened. Tariq stepped in, his presence a thunderclap. "I represent her," he said, "and those documents, forged. I'll prove it." The detective hesitated. "You can't interfere in—" "Then arrest me too," Tariq said. Meera turned toward him, stunned. "What are you doing?" He knelt beside her, voice low. "Buying you time." He looked at her, and in that moment, something unspoken passed between them, a promise neither could afford to say aloud. By nightfall, Tariq's legal team uncovered the trap. The transfers came from a dummy account tied to Vanessa's shell company. She'd framed Meera, hoping Tariq would distance himself. Instead, he went live on national television. Standing behind a podium, he spoke slowly, deliberately. When a woman of integrity becomes a target, it says more about her accusers than her mistakes. Meera Okafor has never stolen a thing except this city's heart, and that she earned. The press went silent. The next morning, with Stan, Meera trended across the country. Vanessa's empire collapsed in days. Sponsors withdrew. Brands deleted her campaigns, and her father's company cut her off. But amid the chaos, Meera found herself sitting alone on the beach near the wharf, waves lapping at her feet. Tariq joined her quietly, no cameras, no bodyguards. "I didn't ask you to fight my war," she said. He smiled faintly. "You didn't have to. You already fought mine." Meera looked at the horizon. "I'm tired, Tariq." "Then rest," he said softly. "But don't stop." A gull cried overhead. The tide crept closer, and in the dim light of dawn, Meera realized the story that began with mud had become something else entirely, a war for truth in a city that thrived on lies. And the next move, she knew, would cost more than either of them had left. The night smelled of ocean salt and consequence. Meera Okafor sat on the balcony of Tariq's coastal home, staring at the distant city lights. They glittered like lies, pretending to be stars. Below, the headlines kept spinning. Meera Okafor cleared of charges. Vanessa Kane's empire in ruins. Victory tasted bitter. Every battle left another scar. Tariq appeared behind her, sleeves rolled up, exhaustion carved into his face. "You should be celebrating," he said. She didn't turn. "The city doesn't forgive. It just gets bored." He stepped closer. "Then let it get bored of underestimating you." She smiled faintly. "You sound like a man who thinks he's safe." "I'm not," he admitted, "but I believe in you." Something flickered in her eyes, part gratitude, part fear. 2 days later, Right Estates hosted the Unity Gala, a charity event Tariq had planned months before the chaos. The city's elite gathered under chandeliers, pretending to care. Cameras flashed, and whispers followed Meera like shadows. "Is that her? The cleaner? Looks different now, doesn't she?" Her blue satin gown shimmered, but her eyes stayed sharp, scanning the room like a survivor, not a celebrity. Vanessa wasn't invited, but that didn't mean she stayed away. At the far corner of the ballroom, hidden behind the floral arch, Vanessa watched, disguised in a simple black dress, face bare of makeup. Her career was ash, her name poison, but her heart still burned with envy. She clutched her phone. One message blinked on screen. "You want your life back? Take her down once and for all. No name, just an address. Dockyard District, 11 p.m. Vanessa's pulse quickened. The devil, it seemed, still wanted business. Back at the gala, Tariq lifted his glass for a toast. "Tonight, we honor second chances. Not perfection, not power, grace." Applause rippled, but Meera's attention drifted. Something in the crowd caught her eye. A man in a grey suit slipping out the side door, a familiar face. Kunle, Tariq's deputy, the one who'd signed the fake warrant. She excused herself quietly, following. The corridor beyond the ballroom was empty, except for echoes. Meera moved quickly, heels soft against marble. Through a cracked door, she saw Kunle speaking into his phone. "She's here," he whispered. "Tell him we're ready." Meera's stomach tightened. "Tell who?" The door creaked. He turned. Their eyes met. "Meera, what are you doing here?" She stepped closer. "You tell me. Who's ready?" Before he could answer, a blinding flash filled the corridor. Camera shutters, not from reporters, but hidden men in dark suits. A woman's voice followed, cold, venomous. "Smile for the cameras, sweetheart." Vanessa stepped out of the shadows. Meera blinked. "You?" Vanessa smirked. "The world loves a redemption story, but it loves a scandal more." She tossed a folded contract toward her. "Sign this. Admit you lied about everything. Say Tariq used his power to cover your crimes, and I disappear quietly." Meera's voice was calm but sharp. "And if I don't, then every photo from tonight hits the net. You and Tariq, cozy deals, secret payments. I'll bury your saint act." Behind Vanessa, Kunle shifted uneasily. "Vanessa, this isn't—" "Shut up!" she snapped. The hallway hummed with electricity. Meera's eyes flicked toward the fire alarm beside her. Her fingers twitched, unseen. "You think I'll break again?" Meera said softly. "You don't understand. You can't shame someone who's already survived it." She reached behind her, pulled the lever. The alarm screamed. Sprinklers burst. Water rained down, blurring cameras, washing away pretense. Vanessa shrieked as the press outside rushed in, snapping chaos, shouting questions. Tariq appeared through the haze, soaked but steady. "Security!" Vanessa tried to run, but Kunle grabbed her wrist. "Enough," he said. "I'm done being your puppet." By the time guards arrived, Vanessa's fury had melted into despair. She dropped the contract, ink bleeding in the floodwater. Meera stood still, rain dripping down her face. "This is what truth feels like," she whispered. Tariq met her eyes, proud but weary. "And what now?" She looked toward the open ballroom doors, where guests whispered, cameras flashed, and the city waited for another story. "Now," she said, voice trembling but alive, "we start over." Lightning flared outside, painting them both in silver. And somewhere beyond the glass, the tide began to rise again. Because even when storms end, the sea remembers. The city woke to headlines that felt like aftershocks. Vanessa Kane, arrested. Corporate conspiracy uncovered. Meera Okafor, from cleaner to catalyst. But inside Wright Estate's headquarters, silence replaced applause. Power shifts always came with ghosts. Meera stood at the window of Tariq's office, watching the sun crawl across the lagoon. "It's over," she said quietly. Tariq, standing behind her, shook his head. "No, it's beginning." He handed her a folder stamped confidential. Inside were plans for the Harbor Foundation, a training initiative for underprivileged youth in hospitality. Her idea, his resources. "You'll lead it," he said. She blinked. "Me? You built this vision out of mud and mercy. Who else?" Meera smiled faintly, eyes wet. "You really believe in me that much?" He met her gaze. "More than I believe in money." Weeks passed. News cycles moved on, and the city began to heal in small, clumsy ways. Meera became the face of the new foundation. Press conferences, ribbon cuttings, speeches. She never rehearsed, but always felt. At every event, her message was the same. Dignity has no uniform. Still, not every scar fades with light. One evening, Meera received a letter with no return address. "Thank you for sparing me in your speech. Prison teaches silence better than shame ever could." Vanessa Meera folded the note slowly, a quiet ache tugging her heart. She placed it in a drawer beside her mother's old photo and whispered, "I forgive you." But forgiveness didn't erase the memory of thunder or the fear of losing what she'd finally built. Tariq's health began to falter. The stress of months of battle, sleepless nights, and endless press weighed him down. The doctors called it exhaustion. But Meera saw more, the toll of a man who had carried too many storms. One night, as the city lights shimmered beyond his hospital window, he reached for her hand. "You were never my project, Meera. You were my proof." "Proof of what?" she asked softly. That grace still exists in power. Tears welled in her eyes. You can't leave now. We haven't finished. He smiled faintly. Then finish for both of us. 3 weeks later, RUTH Estates announced a leadership change. The boardroom that once doubted her now waited in still respect as she entered. Meera wore no jewelry, just a white blouse and calm conviction. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, we built towers, but forgot the people cleaning their floors. That ends today. The Harbour Foundation isn't charity, it's restoration. Her voice filled the room with something money couldn't buy. Truth. Applause rose, not thunderous, but genuine. Months passed. The new training centres opened across the country. Meera taught young workers how to serve with pride and how to demand respect in return. Her name became legend in Port Harbour, not for tragedy, but transformation. Yet every night, she visited Tariq's grave, quiet, unmarked by the sea. She'd sit barefoot, listening to the waves. Remember when you said, truth is expensive? She whispered one evening. You were right, but it's also the only thing that lasts. The wind carried her words into the dark. A year later, the city gathered for the Harbour Foundation's anniversary gala. Journalists called it the night Port Harbour changed. Meera stepped onto the stage, wearing a simple cream gown. 2 years ago, she said, I was walking to work in shoes that were falling apart. Someone laughed. Someone else watched. And that moment rewrote my life. She paused, scanning the crowd, faces young and old, cleaners and CEOs seated side by side. I used to think mud was meant to stain. Now I know it can also plant seeds. The audience rose to their feet, clapping, cheering, some crying. Among them, a small boy waved a banner that read, My sister is my hero. Meera smiled, eyes shimmering. And as the lights dimmed and the orchestra swelled, the city that once shamed her now celebrated her. Outside, rain began to fall again. Not as punishment, but as promise. Because sometimes what begins with mud doesn't end with ruin. It ends with bloom.